Harvey Weinstein's retrial on rape and sexual assault charges is underway, with a Manhattan jury hearing opening statements. The disgraced movie mogul was found guilty of rape and sexual assault in 2020 and sentenced to 23 years in prison. Last April, a New York State appeals court threw out his landmark rape conviction and ordered a new trial. Weinstein became a major focal point of the Me Too movement, with more than 100 women accusing him of sexual misconduct. Weinstein has denied the allegations. He will be in hospital for the trial. And with me now is Tre Lovell, entertainment and corporate attorney with the Lovell firm PC. Mr. Lovell, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So let's start in the past, back in 2020 with Weinstein's conviction. Remind us, why was it thrown out in the first place? How did we get here?
Yeah, so what happened is the trial court had let in evidence that the appellate court didn't feel was appropriate. So in the first trial, in addition to the victims that were subject to the indictment, the prosecution, they allowed other witnesses to testify what happened to them, and their conduct wasn't charged. And so the court said, hey, that has no relevance. You know, that's just being used to show that the victim has a propensity to do this crime, and that's not admissible. And because the trial court allowed that, as well as the fact the trial court said, hey, if Weinstein takes the stand, we're going to allow the prosecution to cross-examine him on up to 28 prior bad acts, some of which didn't even include sexual crimes or sexual violence. So which essentially meant he can't testify because it would be too much. So the appellate court said, hey, this evidence should not have come in. You got to have a retrial with just the victims that are subject to the indictment.
Now, this retrial is opening with a majority female jury. How significant could that be?
You know, it could be important. You know, everybody's heard about this case. Everybody's heard about Weinstein. But what's going to be different about this case is it's going to be more streamlined. You know, these cases often come down to a he said, she said. And in the first trial, there really was no he said because he couldn't take the stand because of what the trial court was going to allow in. Now it's going to be more limited to just the victims and his side. And there's a strong chance that he'll testify. And thus, in this trial, we make it the he said as well, which is going to make it a very different trial than the one before.
Yes, that leads me right into my next question. What differences will there be between this trial and the one in 2020?
So in this trial, there's just going to be evidence of three victims. It's going to be the two victims that the conviction was based on in the last trial, and a new one that was recently brought in. They're the only ones that are going to be allowed to testify in terms of what happened to them. And there's a good chance that Weinstein will take the stand. Because, you know, when you have a situation when it's his credibility versus theirs, it's very important to hear from him and our people on his behalf. So one of the things I'm interested in seeing is whether or not he's actually going to take the stand, and we're going to get his version of facts directly from his mouth.
We'll have to leave it there. That is our time. Mr. Lovell, thank you very much for being here with us. That is Tre Lovell, an entertainment and corporate attorney with the Lovell firm PC.